Hello everyone, thank you so much for coming back, or for those of you who are new, welcome. My name is Joanna the Medium, or Joanna. I am a medium. These are going to be your messages for the month of April 2019. I think on two videos I said March. Please disregard that. I was doing them in March. But they are for April. So if you hear March, it is April. It's in fact for April. What can I say? I'm going to be very brief. If you guys would like to have a session with me, a personal session with me, that information is down below. You know how to find me. For those of you who are my clients, thank you so much. For those of you who are watching, thank you so much. For those of you who are subscribing, thank you so much for giving me your time. And I'm going to state my intention. My intention is to give you something to think about. My intention is to inspire a thought. Hopefully a thought that will lead to a different conclusion, that will allow you to have a different perception, which then will allow you to shift your reality. So that is always my highest intention, which means sometimes certain things will come in terms of predictions, and sometimes it's going to be way bigger than that in terms of what's happening energetically. And based on that, you can decide how to use this information or this energy in order to help you. So that is my intention for you. Of course, it may not make sense to everybody. Everyone is different. However, I feel a majority of you will be able to understand these messages at some point, whether it's in April, May, or June, or the following months. For some of you, the energies you may have been feeling for quite some time already. So it may be an indication of what has been happening with you. Keep that in mind. And if nothing makes sense, don't worry about it, but do maybe check in down the road, because chances are it will make perfect sense to you. And also listen to your other signs. I also will say this, these energies or the messages, even though they're by a zodiac sign, it is very clear to me, and that's what I'm being told, that even if you are drawn to a certain sign that you don't normally listen to, let's say you click on one of my videos, you're a Cancer, but you click on Pisces, and I don't know, you clicked it because, I don't know, you just clicked it, and then all of a sudden there's some message in there that resonates with you 100%. Don't dismiss this message, because although it's not under your sign, it is a message for you, and therefore you're hearing it. So that's how I would encourage you to use my messages. They're mostly about universal laws. It's how things work and how things are being seen from a higher perspective, so to speak. And I think that's all I have. Extremely, extremely transformative month. Every single sign I've done, without a doubt, every single sign that I've done for April, extraordinary, powerful energy of transformation. And I know that March has been kind of feeling that way. I have certainly been going through my own transformation, and I know it's not over yet. It was actually incredible to see that in every single sign. So with that said, I'm going to just move on and let you enjoy the rest of the messages. I wish you best of luck. Of course, if you would like a private session, that information is down below. If you would like to comment, please do so as well. I always love hearing them or seeing them. Thank you again so much for giving me your time. Thank you for participating in my journey. It is actually because of you that I am on this journey, because if it wasn't for you, the listener, there would be no need for me to do this. So thank you once again. I wish you absolutely wonderful time in April, and I look forward to seeing you soon. Okay, let's get started. Hello, beautiful Leos. These are going to be your messages for the month of April 2019. Let me start off by saying this. I feel that many of you who will resonate with this message are at the brink of something extraordinarily substantial. And what I mean by this is, whoever you are at the brink of walking through a door, metaphor, that will allow you to be someone you currently think you are not. So I'm going to park that for a moment. It feels very substantial to me. It feels extraordinarily transformative. That part doesn't surprise me, because every single sign I have done up until this point, and I have 3 left, the energies are super, super transformative. Transformation is not always an easy process because well, in the process of transformation, excuse me, we tend to shed our old skin, or our old skin is being ripped away from us. So no, I'm not saying anything is going to be ripped away from you, but I do feel as time goes on, starting in the month of April, in particular for some of you in April, for some of you this may have already started mid to end of March, where you began to take, or you will begin to take, a harder look at your life, your decisions, and where you are now and how you have arrived at this space. And you will willingly and consciously choose to do something different going forward. This can be as small as, I don't know, changing the way you dress, which is really not small, it's big, because dressing is part of our identity, to deciding that you're going to do something completely different in terms of your career. There could be various other ways that this can transpire, but there is a definite feel of transformation. The symbol that was shown to me when I was meditating on you was the symbol of Wheel of Fortune. And when I tuned into it, so yes, Wheel of Fortune to me symbolizes an end of an era. Been there, done that, time to move on. So for some of you, this literally means you moving on to something else, a new place of employment, a new relationship, a new way of doing things, a new makeup routine, a new wardrobe. You get the picture. Because it was, so 10 is symbolic very much for completion, but because it's a completion, it always signals that there is something new or a new beginning just on the horizon. So the new beginning may not be there for you yet in the month of April. For some of you, it may be, but for some of you, it may be April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November, December. Anyway, anywhere between now and end of the year. But it feels as though there is some important doors that are being opened for you, if you will. Who's opening the door? Well, the universe is going to give you opportunities. And whatever those opportunities will be, I feel many of you will take a good, hard look at it. In other words, some of these opportunities may present themselves in a way that you have not expected it, or the type of opportunities that are presenting themselves are things you were not expecting in the past. In other words, some of these things may strike you as coming as a surprise. Whatever that is for you, and that could be anything from a commitment you choose for yourself, family, loved one, lover, work, job, commitment, you guys get the idea, or anything else. But there is this definite feeling of feeling like I'm on the verge of something new. Now, because the something new seems to be, it almost feels like a cathartic moment. What does that mean? It means that whatever this beginning offers, yes, in terms of solid physical manifestation, it offers with itself some sort of emotional release. And for some of you, this may feel like you will begin something you had no previous thoughts about before, so you may feel like you're not ready for it, or it comes to you in a way that surprises you, and the element of surprise makes you go, I'm not sure if I'm ready for it. I hope this is gonna make sense. Again, if it doesn't make sense to you when you're listening to it, listen to it down the road. And this will not apply to everyone. I hope it would. But majority of you, I feel, who hear this, you will be able to put this message in some space in your life that will make sense to you. So as with as with completions and new beginnings, one door closes, another one opens, which also is very symbolic of some doors closing. Now, does that mean you're going to get fired? Somebody's going to leave you? Or no, it doesn't mean that, but it does signify that at least emotionally speaking, many of you will choose to consciously work on yourself in order to leave some aspect of you behind. Now, this is very, very important. And the reason why it's important, because one of the things that came up for you was a bat, B-A-T. And before I even looked at the symbology of bat, right away I heard master of seeing in the dark. So I would invite you to look at the symbolism of a bat, because that in itself carries a very important message for you. And when I looked at the very first thing about a bat as an animal totem, it speaks a lot about transformation. So when a bat shows up, it is significant of major changes coming somewhere in your life. But these are not changes to be afraid of. Quite the opposite. These are changes to be excited about. But I say this often, sometimes things that are exciting can feel quite frightening. For example, some of you may get offered a job that you didn't expect, and this job is way more than what you're doing now or what you have ever thought about doing. And somebody's offering you this job, so clearly they feel you can do it, but you're not sure about yourself. So you're standing at a doorway where you either say no, thank you, or you take a leap of faith. And I'm getting chills as I say this. And the leap of faith, whoever chooses to take the leap of faith, and remember, that can come in various different ways. Whoever chooses to take a leap of faith will more likely than not experience some sort of a cathartic release as a result of taking a leap of faith. Courage is being signified here, and courage is not something that anyone can give you. Courage is not given. Courage is something that you find within yourself when you do things that perhaps, don't feel so comfortable. But again, you can have an amazing thing happening for you, and it may still make you feel uncomfortable. The example that I've given in the past, which is my personal example, is at some point in my life when I met my current partner, and his family was so loving, because I come from the opposite side of that. At the very beginning of us being together, whenever I would be in the presence of his family, I would be so overwhelmed with the emotion and the love that was freely given that I actually physically had to go and hide. So one would say, what's wrong with you, Joanna? I mean, isn't that what you want? Yes. But because it's so drastic from where I came from, I couldn't handle it. I could only handle it in small doses. So this is an example where something phenomenal can be happening for you, but it triggers something within you that creates certain conflict, that although whatever it is amazing, it creates within you some sort of a conflict, very much like what I have just described. But since we are all in transformative energy, and you are no different, it only stands to reason that you too would be affected by these changes. The Uranus in Taurus sign is indicative of massive changes happening to our foundations. Our foundations are who we are. It's our belief system. So because of that, anything that is unfinished in terms of old pain, old residual anger, old resentment, old stuff from the past, at least ones that you are conscious of, those are the things that are being needed to be released. And I feel for the most part will be willingly released by you. Again, this message can be applied in various ways in one's life. So see where that fits with you. So I saw the Wheel of Fortune, then I saw a door opening. And when I tuned into that door, a door, by the way, to me represents opportunity. So that means that over the next few months, many of you may be facing a brand new opportunity, work-wise, relationship-wise, career-wise, which is work, something, I can't even think of all the examples, but there are thousands. But there are doors that are being opened to many of you, and I hope it's all of you, because these are all good doors. But whatever this door is, it does symbolize a need to end something in order to walk through this door. This could be a promotion, where you are being offered a promotion, but because of this promotion, you have to move to a different town. And as a result, you have to leave all your coworkers behind and your home that you really like, and, you know, you have to sell your car. But that's not a bad thing. It's just uncomfortable at first. So that is what I see as something that represents a new beginning. I was also shown the symbol of the star, which later on, when I put out the cards, the star came up. And whenever that happens, I'm like a kid in a candy store, because it just feels amazing when my meditation is confirmed by the cards. And I have many decks, and it just happened to be this particular deck that I saw in my mind. So the star is a resolution of some inner conflict. And again, very much significant of rebirth. The star, I believe, stands for rebirth. And as a matter of fact, you have 4 cards from a regular tarot deck, and 3 of those are major arcanas, which means there's a lot of things happening within you. Major arcana is all about who we are inside. Everything else is what is happening outside of us. So let me just move on. Oh, one more thing. The word expectation or expectations was something that was kind of shown to me. And I feel many of you will be revisiting the idea of expectations. Now, this is expectations you have of yourself, expectations you think people have of you, expectations that you have of other people, expectations you have of the world. The idea of expectation can be talked about in various ways. So they're asking me to give an example. For example, let's say you are working towards a goal, but your expectation of you as a person is not very high. In other words, you're not very confident within you. You're not very solid foundation-wise within you. So your expectation of you is not very high. Now, having this expectation basically means this is what you're eventually going to create, because what you expect is what you will create. You will never create something you give no life to, or you give no life to. In other words, you will never create something you do not believe exists. So following that example, you could be working towards an amazing goal, but you keep on struggling. And are you struggling because you're not good enough to do your goal? No, you're struggling because something inside you says you're not enough. So that's one example how this might show up. You may have some ideas that people have these expectations of you, and their expectations of you may be different than your expectations for yourself. And you may feel like you are caught between those two spaces, those two places. And you're going to have to ask yourself, what is more important to you? Is more important to you what people think of you, or what people want from you? Or is more important to you what you think of you and what you want for yourself? At the end of the day, whatever you think of yourself is always the most important, because at the end of the day, that's what you end up believing, and what you believe is you create. So the idea of expectation comes up. I'm trying to see, there's something else coming through. Okay, for some of you, when you watch your words, particularly how you converse with others about yourself, you might be able to pinpoint the expectations you have of yourself, but on a subconscious level. Let me just see if I can see it in a different way. Okay, if you have been bullied, let's say, when you were growing up, chances are, well, it created some inner conflict within you because, well, you're not a stone. That kind of stuff affects you. But then you grew up, and then you were an adult and you go on living your life. But there's always this little thing within you that says, that makes you feel like that you're not good enough, or you're whatever you felt when you were bullied, as an example. But you forget about that. Then you go out to the real world and you work with people, and you attract people to you that are kind of similar vibrations. In other words, they're very judgmental, or they're very, I want to say they're very judgmental. They could be bully, judgmental. Same idea, similar. So you might be asking yourself, well, why am I attracting this into my life? And the answer is, it's your subconscious expectation. Because you've experienced so much in your life before, you naturally are wired to think that this is something what's going to happen down the road. And it's not something that comes on, that is usually conscious. It's not something we think about, but it is something that when it is unresolved within you, will eventually bite you in the ass. And because a lot of your messages are about standing your ground, standing in your own power, balance, anything that is not balanced in your life right now, emotionally, mentally, spiritually, people, toxic relationships, toxic communications you have with yourself and therefore the world. Because a lot of that energy is coming through right now, it is indicative to me that for those of you who do not feel that now, you're at the brink of experiencing it in a very short order. Does that mean that it's just going to come to you and you sit there being passive? Well, no. Yes and no. You allow things to happen, but there's also your effort required in order to participate in this equation. So how could you participate? Well, for example, when a door opens to you or an opportunity opens to you, and particularly if it raises certain conflict within you, look at the conflict that's happening within you. And then notice if the word expectation is floating in there somewhere. I'm hoping you guys are going to get this. There's only so many ways I can evoke it with words because I'm seeing it and it's really hard to put it into words sometimes. So notice if there's anything that becomes triggered as a result of a good thing, especially, notice what is the inner conflict that is created within you. And rather than shoving it aside and doing the same old, pretending it's not there or excusing it for something that it's not, take the opportunity to look at it squarely in the face and ask the question, what is it within me that's at conflict with this? Chances are there's an aspect of you that when it's looking at this good thing, somehow it feels like it's not worthy. There's other words that I could choose, but let's use the word not worthy before. Not worthy. And incidentally, if you have been bullied, whether it's, family members, whatever, chances are that's going to dig into your self-esteem. So it will create little pockets of, not feeling good about yourself. I mean, that's just the way it goes. Point is, the next several months are, I want to say incredible, but also crucial in terms of your your evolution, because here's the image. I see a weed tumbling, which means the weed is kind of left at the mercy of the wind. The wind is the thought. So this is a metaphor. In order for you to be strong and grounded, you first have to realize the thoughts that you create that are responsible for whatever it is that's causing you conflict. I'm going to go through the cards fairly quickly, but I feel like I don't have to, but I feel like I do. So the message, the question was, when I was shuffling the cards, I said, show me what areas might be affected for the sign of Leo over the next few months. So keep it in mind. If it doesn't make sense to you at the beginning of when you listen to it down the road. The Emperor shows up. So this is your first major arcana card. Emperor is all about control. But it's not about being controlling. It's about being in control of your own domain. It's about feeling like you are in control. It's about feeling like you are solid. It's about feeling like you are the king or the queen of your castle, and it feels good. It doesn't come from the place of ego where it is ego-based. This is a transformational energy that makes you feel solid inside of you. So when you look at this picture, notice how it speaks to you. The gold is coming to me right off the bat. And the gold to me right now signifies, I want to say purity, which is interesting because purity is also white. But I also want to say it's significant of inner abundance. For a person to feel this way, they have to feel solid within themselves. And to feel solid within oneself, one has to own, number one, realize, but number two, own their value. So a lot of it is about you owning your value. And I don't know about you, but I know a lot of people, I work with them all the time, where the idea of self-worth and self-value, or a perception of value, is often not very high. That's because, well, we have different, majority of people come from different experiences that at some point in their life made them feel less than. That's normal. It's part of growing up. However, if you have been hiding behind your insecurities, if you have been hiding behind your pain, if you have been hiding behind somebody else because you're afraid to stand on your own 2 feet, chances are, over the next several months, that's going to change. The Justice is another message that's another major arcana. So when I look at this card, it's all about the yin and yang. It's all about balance. I mean, justice, balance is quite obvious. So this is telling me that the universe is helping you bring much more balance into your life, whether it is balance in your relationships, whether it is balance the relationship you have with you, because if your relationship with you is not balanced, the universe is going to come to you accordingly. Life balance, work and play, expectations. If you are constantly being pulled apart by other people's expectations of you, and that is making you feel completely unbalanced, then you might want to ask yourself this question: what is it so important about all these people that I feel I'm slave to, that I can't say no? And slave is, well, you guys get the picture. A lot of it has to do with confidence. Confidence, safety, and security in who you are. And again, this is so transformative, and I want to evoke it so much more, but I can't seem to be able to find the words. I also hear karmic pattern. So many of you have been struggling perhaps with feeling not so hot about yourself, not so good about yourself. And by karmic pattern, what's implied here is it's something that you may have struggled with for quite some time in this lifetime, but it's also indicative of you struggling in other lives. And if you don't believe in other lives, don't worry about it. If it comes up, I always say it, because if anything, it's kind of, you know, it's a good conversation. So expect to gain a lot more balance over the next few months, but also expect to feel in balance within you, which will eventually balance things outside of you. Your world, so if you have a chaotic world, then your world is basically a projection of your inner world. So if some things are not working and they haven't been working for a long time, or you have been struggling for quite some time, for example, if you're struggling with finding work and you're not able to get any, and you've been doing and nothing is happening, perhaps ask yourself this question: what is it that I'm not seeing that's preventing me from attracting a job? There could be many things. You might have a very low expectation of yourself. Here's the word expectation. You may feel that other people's expectations of you are that you need to be doing this, or that. And if you don't, you're not going to be whatever, valuable, whatever it may be. So those are kind of couple examples around the idea of expectation. But if there's anything that you've been struggling with, it's important at this time to ask yourself that question. This is a time for deep metamorphosis and deep transformation. Again, look at the idea of a bat. Master of darkness, master of seeing in the dark. To me, it's also very symbolic. Seeing the things we don't want to see. You are your own rainmaker, which means you make things happen. So whatever you're dealing with right now that potentially isn't working, you are part of the creative process. If you want something different, chances are you're going to have to figure out a different way of doing things. Perhaps change the expectations you have of yourself. Perhaps your expectations should be much higher than they are. And that will change things around in your world going forward. The Eight of Coins is about hard work, but it's about solid foundation. So a lot of this for some of you will be around finances, where you will feel solidly grounded and you're on your own 2 feet financially speaking. And clearly, if we are feeling solid, then everything seems to be much more balanced. But I have a feeling that this solidity, if you will, is going to come as a result of you balancing your emotions. And I will show you one card. I'm jumping all over the place, but I feel I'm okay. Unfinished business is what is trying to be worked out subconsciously, which means anything that you are holding on to, particularly from your past, like I mentioned, any pain and a resentment, and we all have it. It's a human experience. We all have it. So it's not about, erasing it. It's about realizing how it still has an effect on us. When we begin to see it, when we begin to bring it into awareness, it's almost like the power of it affecting you is going to be so much less, because it's like you got the memo. You know what this is all about. Again, the word expectations is huge here. And I feel I'm asking if there's other way for me to project it. But if you guys are meant to get this, you will get this. And last but not least, the Gentle Gardener is a message that's all about planting seeds. This little guy showed up this way, okay? Which means the message here is, it is important for you to know where your mind goes. Because your mind and the effort you put with your mind by focusing on something is acting essentially like a seed. So, for example, if your expectation of you is not very high, and I just got a buzzing in my ear, that's a sign for me. And for some of you, you're not listening. You're not listening to yourself. And you might be looking for answers from other people, but you need to listen to you. Listen to the dialogue you have with yourself in order to help you realize where you're getting lost in your mind. Okay? If you call yourself names, if you give yourself derogatory names, if you constantly compare yourself to others in terms of you being less than, if you constantly feel like others have better than you, then that conversation within you is like planting seeds for the future. So your expectation has to change. And I'm not going to over-rotate on this because I feel you got the picture. Is there anything else that I need to say? If, for some of you who are open to this, it would be good for you to have some kind of a dream journal, because I feel much of this stuff is going to be worked out on a subconscious level, but dreams are indicative of what that is. Now, dreams are very symbolic. I love interpreting dreams. I just kind of am good at it. But Sometimes it doesn't make sense right away, but when we write things down and then we come back to it, it becomes very visible. So for some of you, I'm going to say it this way. We are all awakening. We are all awakening from walking asleep, from walking like we're asleep. And it's equivalent to opening our eyes. So just like a puppy, when it's born for the first few days, it has its eyes closed. I'm assuming when it opens eyes at first, it becomes a little bit overwhelming because there's so much coming at it, at the puppy. So I'm using that. I'm being asked to slow down. So I'm using that analogy in order to kind of help me drive that point home. And I just heard wrap it up. So I'm going to leave it at that. I feel like it came fast and furious, but I also trust that the message is going to find its owner. And if it's not you, that's okay. You may listen to the other signs. You may be drawn to another sign, and something there might ring true for you. Or listen to it at some other point. But I will say with a certainty of 99% that probably 95% of you who listen to this will make sense of this at some point between now and the end of 2019. And the reason why I'm showing this, you know, all these months going forward, why I'm mentioning it, because the energies are, as you know, you can't cut off the energy at the end of April. It's the effects of the energy is ongoing, and the effects of that energy will be felt and will be indicated in your physical world as time goes on. So sounds exciting. And for many of you, this is going to be career related. And for others of you, this is going to be relationship related. And for others of you, this is going to be around either needing to move or moving. Okay. And with that said, thank you so much for listening. I hope this was helpful. I would love to hear your comments if you are inclined to do so. And of course, this is general, will not make sense to everybody. If it does, amazing. But I trust my team. I trust spirit. Of course, if you would like a private session with me to figure this out in your own private life, that information is down below. I wish you best of luck in the month of April. Take care of yourself. And remember, you are important. Bye.